抜け Fly away 体中に広がるパノラマ顔を蹴られた地球が起こって火山を爆発
Hello Arcadians, and this is Matticus here with another episode of PanZ Playtesting. And this week we've got Jay Banna on the cast. Say hey, Jay.
How's it going, guys?
And I'm playing a slightly modified version of Jay's Red Frieza deck, and you are on what, good sir?
I'm on what? Oh, was I playing, you mean?
Yeah.
And you gotta use actual questions, because I don't know what you just said. I'm playing Saiyan God Goku, because Saiyan, I just really wanted to run a deck that was Saiyan based, that was remotely consistent, so this was my attempt to build one to run it.
And I can tell you from experience, it's pretty brutal.
It has its chances. It's not too bad.
I think you won the die roll here, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of going really quickly just because we're so used to the game, and I mean, it's from the orders. So I go first. I'm showing cards in my hand. I think there's a sphere, there's a physical, and there's two other physicals, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to enter that. Now, ironically, at confrontation, I see what's in his hand. Now, I know that he has the time, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll just sphere it. That's no problem. And then he has two other cards, and I cannot see that glare. That's just silly.
So one of them was a Pulverize.
I think I got rid of the Pulverize.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want you to set up your next combat with something like Double Strike, or even, not even Double Strike, but Shoulder Grab. Yeah. So I had to put some thought into it.
Red.
You're right. And the banishing is not really relevant. It's just the fact that you're setting yourself up. I said, you know what? I got to get rid of that. That gets shuffled.
So the third card was a Knee Lift.
Okay, so Knee Lift and Time. So, oh no, is that mine?
That's what I
Okay.
Yep.
Oh man, so the extra draw from God Goku helps a lot from entering combat, even if you go second. It's really one of the few MPs you can put in a deck where you don't have to worry about going in if you're going second, just because of that draw potential. But the thing is you'll never know what the card is, so it all comes down to just chance and how you build the deck.
It seems like it could play in an interesting way with Red Restriction, because that's potentially 3 extra cards you're seeing on any given turn. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but I can't use my power if I Red Restriction, or if you Red Restriction.
Oh, that's true.
Because it's not an attack.
Thank you for correcting me.
It's all good. I've actually played up against the match and had that happen to me, and it sucked. Now this is a card that nobody does. I respond to Sphere. Perfect timing. Rejuve, I gain in anger, which is really irrelevant for me. Although his reaction, really? He's like, why didn't you take away
turn 1 Sphere?
The turn 1 Sphere, which actually has happened several times. So there's a couple things we haven't addressed. One, why are you running a Sphere in a Saiyan deck? I feel personally for Saiyans, we're kind of limited to, because there's not a lot of techs in the deck that really deal with problematic cards, and Saiyan needs that to really get over cards that are blocks, especially Namekian, and Time in general, so that really helps, especially the fact that you're running Saiyan Domination to shut off those Endurance. Now the Ensnared, nobody sees it coming, but it makes me a good contender against the Orange matchup. It allows me to shut off their physical block drill, and if it hits, even if they do a successful energy attack, I potentially did a physical, which then triggers their physical block, and therefore they cannot use the block again that combat.
This is true. Also, if there's no drill, doesn't it do a +4?
HT +4, and it has 2 Endurance. Plus, if I'm at max stages and I have 4 Anger, I can Ensnare it. It's not going to gain me an Anger because it's non-styled, and it does guarantee 10 life or 10 stages in general. If I have Tree of Might on, then it's 12. That's a lot of damage.
So you hit me for a good amount right there.
Right, the physical, just going in hard. I have to hit you hard as soon as
stage locked.
Right. Now, I don't know what to expect with the adjustments that you made. I mean, I think all you did was you made a drill adjustment.
I made 1 or 2 card adjustment.
Right, which wasn't a big issue. One of the things I thought in my mind was you're not going to run Dragon Balls. I already assumed that you were not going to run Dragon Balls, so my key advantage for this is I want to go in with as much damage as possible. Abuse the Saiyan Mastery, abuse the Saiyan cards that Saiyan has, and go in as much as I can and just do as much damage as soon as possible.
So, looking at my hand, it's super awkward because I had the sacrifice, I had a shoulder grab, a knee lift. It seemed good, but there was an energy block that just would be a dead card.
You had two, actually. You had a sacrifice on top of it. You held on to, it looks like, the red shoulder grab.
Yeah.
Now, I got 3 cards, because I dished out all my cards in my hands. I can still get the draw potential. He shows me the shoulder grab by mistake, which was pretty adorable. And I was like, I'm gonna enter. It's great. Forget this guy. Start off with the kick, you know, take away his stages, and just go in for massive damage. I'm at max stages, 4 anger.
I'm skipping an action.
And he's skipping an action, so he's going to take, how much damage is that going to be? 10, I believe?
So it was 2... Yeah.
That's a lot of damage, and he skips his next action. It was successful, I'd gained stages, but I'm already at max. And then from there, I'm not sure what I do here. Either I do my power, or maybe I'm able to... Okay, so I do my power. Because I knew that if I were to perform another Saiyan style, I'm going to gain an anger, go up a level, and I won't benefit off of my level 1 power. Okay.
So I obviously go for the shoulder grab.
Which is a very typical combo, or for red, you know, starting off with the shoulder grab, especially the double strike that's in his hand.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any blocks in this particular build. Well, yes, I don't have a lot of blocks. Oh, the only blocks that I run in this Saiyan God Goku deck is Saiyan Outrage and Time. That's literally the only blocks.
So for me right now, the shoulder grab is relevant just because of the double strike, and I'm not trying to do stages of damage. I'm just trying to gain anger because I need to get to level 2.
Which is why I use cards like Spin Kick to lower anger while I'm also attacking at the same time. And now that I'm level 2, I regain stages. I'm at C, so it doesn't do a lot of damage as much, but I'm still getting in with damage. And getting rid of those endurance
cards. Because I was at 0, I managed, I think I took 6 there, 5 or 6.
Right. Now, he has a floating red shoulder grab, which I always tell players, always put your active cards that are this combat sideways in your discard pile. It just helps with memorizing cards that are in combat. I've seen a lot of players completely forget about their red shoulder grab that they did 3 actions ago, and that's not something you want to forget, because that will definitely change the game.
Yeah, see. So I did remember there that I crit with the shoulder grab.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at 2 anger.
Oh, and now what's funny was, we spoke about this, we were like, gosh, if only I could have used the clothesline. But you see, I wanted to get in first with the quick attack of the Saiyan gut kick before, and even if I were to clothesline afterwards, I wouldn't have been able to benefit off of the damage, because I had 4 anger.
Yeah, that's fair.
But still, I mean, double
clothesline for like 14, 16, something would have been insane.
Right.
Just saying.
No. I see what you did there.
Thank you.
Only some people who watch this video would understand what I said. Nice. Okay. Another going again with the double strike. I think I got a crit and lowered your anger, so now you're at 3 max after performing successfully with the double strike. Let's see. It looks like I passed because the card I have is not an attack, most likely. But that's not necessarily true. I have a tendency of sometimes, you know, going in the process of holding on to an attack for the sake of the next combat, doing more damage. Now, I'm using the effect of Goku level 2. I'm searching for a drill. The idea behind this, and he wanted to check to see if I can search through discard pile or life tech.
Right.
So I go for the quickness drill. Now, the card at the bottom of the discard pile, I believe, is a...
Confrontation, I think.
Confrontation? Yeah, so that goes to show, like, the power of quickness drill in a God Goku deck. You can easily force a good attack first turn, set up the base of your discard pile, and have it so that your next actions you're able to do a lot more damage because you're triggering quickness drill. Now,
I did have a nut setup draw here.
That is a really good setup. I mean, there's, oh man, relaxation, blaze, and you have your other drill right now where you can basically prevent any costs. But I mean, that only comes.
I'm getting to level 2 at this point.
Yeah, you're in a good spot right now as far as gaining the enough anger that you need. And the bottom card is a time, I believe.
Yes.
That's nuts.
So.
Yeah.
Because the other card got.
Well, you see, here's the thing. Quickness drill. So quickness drill, the bottom of the discard pile is confrontation for me. So if he were to trigger relaxation, I then get a confrontation. He gets a time. I confrontation, and then that's pretty much taking care of my answer. So entering in combat, triggering quickness drill, discard that card and get a confrontation. I think I had 2 outrages in my hand, and that's why I discarded the outrage.
Yeah, and that's why I think we're discussing it here, because taking a good long look at the relaxation, debating whether or not I want to crack it just for the anger. And I think, did I go for it? Yeah.
Goes for the time.
Yep.
Time in his hand. Well, and he knew. I mean, he knew when I quickness drew. He's just like, oh crap, I didn't think that coming.
But I also wanted 5 cards plus my setup effect, you know,
right.
for the combat.
Exactly. Confrontation goes down, and bye-bye, time is a warrior's tool.
The rest of that hand's not terrible.
No, not at all. Now, if I have an answer for time, I mean, I'm not going to choose time, but
Right.
ideally, I mean, what are the odds of me getting a sphere is not really high. And see, I was right. I did have another Saiyan Outrage in my hand, which is why I chose to discard.
How many copies of Heroic Energy Sphere are in that deck? Is it
I think
2?
I only run 2. 3 is a bit excessive,
Mhm.
and I can recycle Sphere by Saiyan Rescue alone. So I mean, I have options to recycle cards to reuse them again. The combo of this deck in particular for Saiyan God Goku, I'm not using it in full throttle right now because right now I'm just taking advantage of my opponent with damage. But you'll see the potential of it, you know, from when I'm doing more damage.
So, I think this is the reason I set up my turn the way I did, drew the time. So I Red Blaze, and then I go up off the first anger game, and get to draw and discard. And then when it comes down, I'll get to Rejuve 2, and then use the crit effect, so I'll have 1 anger already on level 2.
Now, some people don't realize that. Yeah, so the order of the discard mouse when you rejuve. Oh, some people don't realize this, but Red Blaze states you may use a critical. So if you do not inform your opponent that you're using a critical damage effect, hell, you could just tell them that I'm critting your imaginary ally. You have to say it to your opponent. If you do not successfully use a crit, which means you do not gain an anger from your mastery.
So, as far as good habits to get into,
just say that you're lowering their anger or destroying an ally or stealing a dragon. Just say anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Just if you're a red player, say that you're using a critical damage effect and use it.
anytime you use a critical damage effect.
Exactly.
If they have no anger, I think we came across this the other night we were playing, and I had the red drill that says your opponent's effects cannot lower your anger.
Correct. Now you can
to
still
use your
attempt.
crit effects, you still have to say I attempt to lower your anger.
Right. It won't lower the anger because there's a difference between attempting to use a critical and being successful in a critical.
Right.
Mhm.
It's just the habit is good to get into.
Right. Now, the Outrage helps with my winning objective right now because Outrage allows me to search for an attached card. There's 2 attached cards that really matter in the deck, and that would be Tree of Might and Saiyan Rescue. And I can do all sorts of shenanigans with Tree of Might because I run freestyle drills, so when I enter combat, I can bring out a drill, which then allows me to trigger it during entering combat, such as Quickness Drill, or a Combination Drill, or a Lookout Drill, and protect myself for all of my random factors that for me to survive in the game, so I can beat down my opponent.
Taking my shoulder grabs there off the Pulverize.
You're right.
Pretty
Doing a
good.
physical? Yeah, Pulverize I run Pulverize at 3 in the Saiyan deck because it just helps with locking out your opponent. There are a lot of cards you'd be surprised that are good against different matchups. Saiyan Upward Kick, shutting off your opponent can no longer gain stages. If I'm against black and they have black power up, I can Pulverize into that card. Sure, they may enter combat, but they're not going to gain the stages, which is the important thing to keep note of. The same thing goes for red. If I'm up against red, I can Pulverize into a Wall Breaker because I run 2 of it in the deck, and that really hurts red for winning by MPPV. So there's a lot of potential for what Pulverize can do with the cards that you tech in for a Saiyan God Goku deck.
So here I get to do one of my favorite things, and that's use Frieza's power to rejuve a Frieza card and get a crit effect and some free anger. And I think, did you take what, 1 from it?
I did. I took 2.
Oh,
Because,
there was endurance.
yeah, there's endurance 2. Yeah, so I was at high stages, I believe. See, we need to invest in better dice, just so people can see the stages where we were. So I just now perform another attack. I gain 2 anger from performing it, which is why I'm at 2 anger now. It's going to be doing life cards of damage, but you know he's very powerful and I'm very powerful, so it's only going to do 4, I believe.
Yeah, my endurance, most of it.
And endurance most of it, and go from there. I remember this combat was really long because he drew an additional card off of relaxation.
Yeah.
And I entered this combat too. So energy attack for 6 life cards.
Yep.
Now, one of the things that I take into advantage with Saiyan is the fact that I use my endurance as my way of keeping myself alive. So I have a lot of high endurance in the deck. That's why a lot of blocks are not relevant in the deck in the version that I built, because I rely solely on the endurance in the deck to keep me alive enough where I can beat down my opponent with physical attacks.
Yeah, the spin kick was really key off that 6 life cards from the Combined Blast.
Now, what's funny was I adjusted my discard pile, but I completely forgot about Pulverize, and we find out about this earlier. We're going to show you exactly the moment we find out, but
we're able to correct it. So
we're able to correct it because I did show, I believe I did show people what card was in my hand. So the card that's in my hand, if I'm correct, it's a time. I have a Time as a Warrior's tool in my hand right now, and then once it goes to my turn, or no, I think you enter combat here.
Yeah, because I think I was trying to go up to level 3 right off the bat.
Right. And you drop down a setup, so you have 3 cards in hand. You, I believe you did enter this combat, but we're going to find out, see what happens from here. I chose not to discard the card.
I had a heel kick, that's what's up.
Ah, I see.
Oh, and what is the name of it? The block that you go down a level, and the combat you go up a level.
Resourceful block.
Resourceful block.
And you had a blocking hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of anger, and I think I was trying to jump levels.
Right.
Was my idea.
So I did not trigger the Pulverize. Now, I had the Time of Warrior's tool in my hand. Now, the cards that I drew in my hand...
Yeah, so here...
this is when I realized. I'm like, oh crap, I didn't use Pulverize. See, now if I was at a locals or something, or regionals, they would have well, I don't know. Well, technically, the way to resolve this, because my opponent doesn't know what's in my hand, it would have been ignored. And then both me and my opponent would have received a warning.
Yeah.
If that was the correct way to approach it. Now, I decided to go for it. Now, the hand that I drew 3 cards in, if I didn't choose to Pulverize, it was way better. I had like a confrontation and so many other shenanigans, but I ended up putting just so we can keep consistent, I put the Wall Breaker on top. That was the plan of the Pulverize.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure that it did mess up some things, because had he had known that I was going to put Wall Breaker on top of the deck, he probably wouldn't have entered that turn. But
right, I probably want to stay on level 2 more so than go to level 3.
And I believe he drew.
If I can't gain anger, I need to find an advantage some way.
Right, and that was a mess up that we end up having. But who cares? You have the Time as Warrior's tool in your hand, so it didn't even matter. And I didn't even search for the sphere at the bottom, which could have been helpful had I gotten that, but hey, I made a mistake from the Pulverize that I completely... I didn't even want to discard a card because it was time. I had Time Warrior's tool in my hand, so...
Mm-hmm. I think we knew which direction this was headed, though.
Correct.
So, lower you down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because I announced my crit trigger.
That's right. And did you rejuve? Oh yeah, you did rejuve.
Yep.
And comes the Wall Breaker. He times it, so he stops the damage, but
yeah,
now...
get the time, that's a thing.
But now he's not going to gain the anger.
Oh, we had a discussion on the timing between the attachment and Frieza's level 1 power from stopping the attack.
Right, the attachment happens immediately before the damage, so it didn't help it so that if, say, he were to stop it with time, he couldn't have gained the effect off of level 1 Frieza because the attachment of Wall Breaker already happened.
I mean, you wouldn't blame me for trying to be at 2 anger instead of 1, but...
right?
The heel kick, when you can't gain anger, seems less relevant.
Right? Me checking my phone.
Right?
All that wonderful stuff.
We're talking about looking up some ruling or something, and then we just figured that we had it correct.
What was the ruling?
I think because we were still discussing the wall breaker thing.
Oh, yeah. It's an immediate thing. It happens right away.
So...
Oh, I have a tree and light in my... Yeah, I had a crappy hand. Had I not pulverized, I would have had a worser hand, and I did. I had a time and then 2 dead cards that were in my hand. So, it just goes to show that even though I forgot the timing on pulverizer, pulverizer, nice. Even though I forgot the timing on pulverize, I still, I fixed it as accordingly, but I had a worser hand, so it didn't even change the outcome of the game. Actually, if I would have kept my hand that I had originally, I would have had an advantage because I would have confrontation his time and do some other shenanigans. But then he would have gained anger, so it's tough to say what would have happened. If this was an overall, I mean, the fact that that happened is, we can't really do much about it, but...
Yeah, it didn't have, like I said, a huge impact on the outcome of the game, because you're kind of in the driver's seat at this point.
Right.
Especially with the wall breaker.
So I think we discard down, we both timed each other, so it's like, well, stalemate.
You do.
Right? Now, I haven't gone up a level yet, and I dropped down the tree. Now, what I could have done was I could have discarded the tree and got the card at the bottom of the discard pile, but I wanted to put the tree down because my second tree copy was at the bottom, or no, was in the discard pile, is at the top. So I wanted the tree in there as soon as possible.
So, let me ask you this real quick.
I forgot to use, yeah. You know,
on purpose?
That was on purpose, because I didn't want to gain another anger.
Right.
Now here, with me gaining the anger, it hurts me for performing less actions to watch out for my anger. I just noticed something from watching this video. I used Saiyan Outrage, but I didn't search for a card to attach it on my MP, which would have definitely changed the outcome of the game. That just goes to show. So there was 2 things that I did wrong. Jeez Louise.
Oh, well, that was a long turn.
It was.
I forgot about that, and you had it in the banish instead of, like, to the side or something.
Well, because, yeah, banish have to use...
So, I enter with red restriction. And I do have a Supernova, Combined Blast. Like, my hand's not terrible. And the Mule Kick to get rid of the Wall Breaker, I believe. Yeah.
Finish the Wall Breaker. You didn't restriction, did you? Or did you restriction this time?
I did restriction.
Okay, so that means I couldn't even attach my Tree of Might, which sucks to some degree, and I can't even use my power at level 1 Goku.
So I think this was a turn... I actually ended up on the better side of this turn, but I was still very behind. Yay, now I'm jumping levels. So I get to draw a card when I go down. There it is.
So ironically, the mastery states that you may draw a card when you go down a level, but you don't have to. Whereas when you go up a level, you have to draw a card and discard a card. Weird.
It is weird, but I can see how it creates certain situations.
Yeah, it's true. Like, let's say they Dragon Ball 2 you, right? And you can just choose not to draw. And then you say, okay, pass, and then he rejuves, and then you draw 3 cards. And now you're at your next level.
So you've got an elbow drop that was used once already.
Right. And this exactly proves my point for why I didn't rejuvenate. I did not want to gain another anger because I'm benefiting off of so much of having 1 anger, because I'm going to gain anger and I'm going to lose my stages if I were to not keep myself to the point where I, keep myself at the stage level that I was at.
Right. There's a big difference on the attack table between, 100 million and 33,000?
Right, something like that.
I think it's Goku's level 2.
Yeah, I believe so. And the worst thing, now I have to contest against God Frieza,
Yeah.
And here comes the Supernova.
I think, how many were there? There was 2? 1 or 2.
2 times 3.
It wasn't
6.
super huge.
It was for 11, I think.
I think you're right.
So much damage. So I pick up the deck, I'm like, I'm gonna throw this on the table. And I don't think I hit very much endurance. Oh, there's 1 endurance. It actually has 2 endurance. Now guys, good etiquette, okay? Please, when you are taking damage, I am asking, this would be the best thing for you. We're talking about card etiquette.
Yeah.
place all of your damage in front of your opponent to show them that this is the damage you took. Don't take the damage and just place them straight into the discard pile. Because now, A, how are you going to prove that the damage wasn't crit? And B, how do you know if you know, how can you how can you clearly see where the endurance is and when you can use it appropriately? It's just overall better card game etiquette.
And not to mention, people can call into question endurance.
Right.
And be like, okay, now I need to look through both your discard and your banish, and I need to read everything because you said you used 3 endurance and blah blah, you know, and then it becomes a mess. So just put it out there for your opponent to see.
Right, and see, we're both doing that very well. I mean, I just force myself to get used to that concept.
So clothesline hit for a pretty good amount. I think it was like 10.
And you're doing your power at just the right moment. Rejuve, use a crit, lower my anger, which actually, so to speak, it helps me, so to speak, against my anger. But I mean, technically speaking, what Matthew could have done is he could have potentially critted away a Dragon Ball that didn't exist, and he would have still got the anger and have me keep the anger that I had. So gaining of the 3 stages helps now to soak up some damage because I know for sure he doesn't have a block, and we're doing life card damage now. He's at 3 above, so I don't think it's going to do any damage, but it will hit, and that may be relevant if he had a shoulder grab on the stack, but he doesn't. So
okay, so you go for the what is that? A pinpoint blast?
Right. So I wanted to lower your anger, because I know you're going to jump up a level after the end of this combat is over. Energy attack. Sure, you may have a block, and that I am willing for you to block with a sacrifice than with a block that gives you anger. So that helps me.
I would have loved to have had that in my hand for when I went up at the end of combat.
Oh, of course.
So I can draw and discard, and then be on level 3 with like 4 anger.
If anything, I don't know how many cards you had left in your deck, but maybe you should have just taken the damage because of that.
I think I was dangerously low.
Oh,
because you're low too, and I was way behind. So
that supernova really hit me hard. I had to keep up. I had to catch up from there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and something else, guys. Listen, another thing about sacrifice. It says not only do you gain 2 anger, but your next attack is unpreventable. Remember that. That's actually mandatory, I believe, so your opponent has to remind you as well. That could change the game as far as order goes. Like, for example, Matthew had a Red Combine Blast in his hand. He could have easily Red Sacrifice by a discard effect, and then Combine Blast. If that would have hit, it's unpreventable. The combo potential is there. Also, there's another combo potential with level 2. If your opponent's at A and you're at F, that's 6 life cards of damage. You discard the Sacrifice, you make it unpreventable. So think about the order of your effects and use them to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Going up a level, you then are forced to draw a card and discard. Man, you really wanted the Combine Blast. Well, you needed it because
I think I was saving it for the next turn to keep you off of events.
Yeah, that's true. But I think more importantly, it still would have been a better choice only because energy
Just for the damage, yeah. It would have been straight 6 cards, and then I would have been on 3 with 3 anger.
It would have been better. Oh man.
That's fair.
Alright, so I draw my cards. I'm thinking he's at level 3. He's got 2 anger. I check to see how many cards are left in his deck, or I ask him. And now I go through his discard pile. Now I'm checking how much endurance he has, B, how many blocks he has left in his deck, how many dead cards that are out of the deck. I'm checking restrictions to see if he has any more restrictions. Because who knows, he may be holding on to one in his hand, so the restrictions are gone.
Yeah, and I think the one I had played already is in the banish, so all 3 are out of the deck.
Yeah, I dropped those down because, I was thinking maybe get rid of one of the drills from Quickness Drill and then draw the bottom card, which I think was a sphere, but that wasn't going to really do much anything. So I dropped down those. So the combo is you have Combination Drill, you have Lookout Drill, you have Quickness Drill.
I'm trying to see what I have. I still have the Combine Blast. It's like a double strike. I think the energy block. Oh, I have 2 Combine Blasts. That's neat.
That's neat.
It's tough to enter on, but I am at max stages because I got to bounce up a level at the end of the last turn.
Something. No, I don't want that. I want.
And I think I enter here because my deck was just too low, and better for me to try and win like now.
Official ruling: treat this card as if it was both instant powers and continuous, thus it must be used whenever you enter combat.
Which card is this?
It uses the effect of this drill. It does not allow you to combination drill. I think I'm wondering now if the drill has to be used. I don't think it has to be used, and it does say on the card, because something I was unsure of. Choose a drill not named combination drill, destroy it. Use when entering, and you don't have to use it though. It's not mandatory. That's the same logic behind visiting the past. So I chose not to use it, which then did not give you the option to use it, which therefore didn't give you the chance to use it against me. Now, ironically, the concept behind here is I can enter combat, use quickness drill, put the bottom part of my hand, discard a card, then trigger combination drill, destroy a drill. Now, if they were to destroy a drill, like quickness drill, I've already benefited off of quickness drill. So it doesn't even matter at that point because I've already secured my hand to what I wanted it to be, so to speak.
So, quick note here, you went for the body blow and the rescue was still in the deck. I think you had like 11, 12, 15, somewhere in that range.
Right. I was so lucky.
You still had the rescue.
I was so lucky. I had to look through my discard pile first before I wanted to double.
Yeah.
And it was in the deck. I was like, holy crap, it's in the deck. And I really wish I could have gotten the Tree of Might, because then I would have done the extra 2 stages. Definitely help. So body blow. I don't know where I am in stages because our dice sucks. So
I think you're at 6. Was that a 6? Well, you hit and you go to 9.
Okay. Damage.
We're calculating it and took all 7 of my stages.
Now, ironically, look how Drill's good against level 4 Frieza if he ends up getting to level 4 Frieza, because then that's mill damage I don't have to do.
That's fair.
Energy attack, 6 life cards, and 3 stages. I should have done 3 stages first. FYI, it's better to do that in this game.
Right.
But I do put myself at 3. This is a casual game, it happens, but it's always good to keep yourself in the right mindset.
Order of operations.
Order of operations, and I better be taking 3 stages. There you go. There you go, buddy. And I reminded him, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the stages. Gain anger, go up a level. Yes, I do less damage. However, I gain stages. So the physical attacks won't hurt me as much now with the +3, because I don't want them to hit my life deck. So physical, he's at A, I'm at C, so 2 + 3, 5 stages and 2 life cards. That's 7 remaining. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4.
No endurance.
5, 6, 7. Yep, it was still just enough. Yeah.
Most excellent.
And that just showing my opponent exactly how many.
You had 6 left.
So let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's a good close game.
Very close game for a red Frieza deck versus a Saiyan deck. Not bad. Not bad.
I think things might have played out a little differently. If we play the matchup more times,
right?
And then we have an inkling of certain effects that we missed the first time around. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's true. And we had a mess up earlier regarding that wall breaker situation. You know, it happens. Our plan is to provide more videos where we will not be making errors like that, so we have a consistent game. For our first game coming in, I mean, that's no problem. We are definitely going to be doing a lot more videos, though. We're going to be adding a lot of content for everyone to watch, and hopefully fun and entertaining for everybody to watch.
This is very true, and so I guess the question I want to put out there is, next time, does everybody want to see some more sweet brews from everyone, or do you want to see the meta decks? Let us know in the comments.
I am totally down to run any deck. Heck, if it even has to be Black Krillin or Ginyu, or
even if it's Black Krillin.
Even if it's Black Krillin. I don't think Black Krillin's that amazing. I mean, it's a great deck. It's consistent, but I don't think it's worth crying over. I mean, heck, that's what I mentioned with. That's what I mentioned at Next Level Z about. I mentioned I over glorified how much awesome Black Krillin is, but I mean, I don't think it's like the thing that's going to beat all. It has a very good consistency, and that's about it.
Which is totally fair.
Right.
From another perspective, I will say playing against Black Krillin is kind of like smashing your face into a brick wall.
Playing Krillin is like you smashing your face into a brick wall because you're realizing that the guy who dies the most is killing you.
Yeah.
That's pretty
the
much
irony.
It. The irony. No. Why did he have to have Destructo Disc? I want to share my opinion to other people because I spoke with someone else I know about this and the idea of how to make Black Krillin not as overwhelming with the potential of what Destructo Disc can do. And my suggestion would be the easiest fix that is realistic and that does not hurt the deck in a way that makes it uncompetitive is to change the mastery for it to state that your styled attacks do +1 stage and +1 life cards of damage.
That's a fair.
It would not affect Destructo Disc as much. I mean, sure, it's not an instant crit, but you can still modify it with Upward Dodge, which makes it a relatively good card. You just can't rely on it all the time doing crit, because, let's face it, you've got to crit every turn off of your ability already. It's still going to be a solid deck.
This is true. I know that it's tough for them to errata things.
No, they did it with Namekian Mastery.
Right. It's... Okay, maybe tough isn't the right word, but definitely it's something they try to shy away from, and they only do it if they absolutely have to.
Right.
So the thing that interacts the best with the Black Mastery, like we're saying, is Destructo Disc. But everything else, it's good with a Black Mastery, but it's not on the same power level. So, is the problem with the Destructo Disc or with the Mastery? You can get into that debate.
Well, that's the thing is, and I mentioned this with the Next Level Z guys, the reason why Krillin is really good is because Black makes it even better.
Right.
That +1 modify with the card that Krillin has that makes it indestructible or unstoppable and unpreventable just make it very good. Black is just a very good style in general. Krillin has a really good name card, and the fact that you can abuse it with the Mastery to get a +1 life card of damage to make it an instant crit is very reasonable.
Right. 5 cards each time, no endurance. Bam.
Yeah, right? I mean, no work whatsoever.
Right. So I think that's all the time we got for tonight. Jay, thanks for coming on and talking DBZ with us. Our first of many.
Yeah, our first of many for sure. And guys, make sure you check out Arcadia Gaming, or is it Arcadia Games?
No, it's Arcadia Gaming.
It's Arcadia Gaming. I was right the first time. They got great deals. I believe there's a promo code that yes, I did. What am I saying? I'm the one that mentioned it. There's a promo code that they've mentioned for 10% off for your purchases through Arcadia Gaming. And check out what that is if you check out the Next Level Z podcast where I give away what the promo code is so that you yourself can get a 10% discount through Arcadia Gaming.
And you can check a link to Next Level Z to check out the podcast in the description below.
Perfect. And until then, play more games with you guys.
All right. Peace out.
Yeah, yeah.